live, so we'll do the clap. So, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Hunter Sub. This is your host Fortuan, joined by co-host Sasha, who almost didn't make it because lots of problems.
Because I'm old.
I feel like
that's why.
Yeah, I feel like
your shoulder is demoted.
Your shoulder's demoted.
Yep.
Yeah. And co-host Ace, Badger Gaming.
Howdy, how's it going?
You going for going for like a badger mascot now? Just like but even a badger wouldn't sound like that. They'd be like aggressive, right? Because honey badger don't care.
Theoretically,
honey badger.
Well, that's a honey badger, not just a normal badger.
Okay. I gotcha. Is there a difference? I didn't think there was a difference, but maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. All the badgers I've encountered in Horizon Zero Dawn just run away, so they aren't that aggressive.
Interesting. I haven't played that yet.
I'll just sip my drink. Yeah, I've actually been I've been wrapping up a lot of the quests on Horizon Zero Dawn because I finished up the mission, and then it's weird. I don't like it when games pull the trope of like you finish the game but then you revert back to the final mission. So like Horizon Zero Dawn did that, or at least it's doing it right now. I don't know if you can, once you finish everything, then it'll be like you're finished. Just explore the world now. But like that was one of the things that I didn't like about Breath of the Wild, because I was like, so what? I'm just forever not done.
Yeah,
I'm just caught in a fucking time loop with Ganon and his bullshit. It sucks.
That's open world games, man. That's just how they are. There was a thing on Twitter about, because Elden Ring came out and everyone's freaking out about that game right now, and
I've seen a bunch of people be like, I played it for a couple hours and it's way too fucking hard. I quit and went back to Horizon Zero Dawn or some other game. And
There's
I'm like,
no accessibility.
Wow.
I haven't seen that. I just saw a lot of hype to begin with, and people being like, I love it, and that kind of stuff. And they're like, and then someone was like, stop comparing it to Zelda, which is a terrible open world game. And I was like, bro, Zelda Breath of the Wild is the only good open world game, period. And they were like, well, that's just your opinion. And I was like, it is my opinion. I am doubling down on this that I have played. Then someone asked me about Horizon Zero Dawn, and I just didn't respond because I haven't played it. So there are other good open world games. I will say I like Rage. It is an open world game. However, I don't like its open worldness. It is the flaw of the game, the being open world of that game. Mm-hmm. When it gets linear and you're in a dungeon, perfect. Great. You were going to say something, Sasha?
I was just going to say, I'm pretty biased against that Zelda opinion being the only good open world game, considering all my favorite games are open world games.
True. I don't like Fallout particularly myself. I will say Outer Worlds is good. I couldn't get into it personally.
Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, I'm just wrong. Let's just leave it there. I'm just wrong. I forgot about Skyrim entirely.
Yeah, we'll just agree to disagree.
It's okay. It's okay.
No, I'm just going to agree with you because I'm just wrong now. I forgot entirely about Bethesda games. I was like, oh yeah, that exists. I played them. I enjoyed them, except for Fallout. But I have New Vegas installed. It's just a matter of getting to it now because of my incredible backlog.
There's supposed to be New Vegas 2 coming out, and I saw an article pretty much just about how the game is potentially coming out. That's all they said. And then my little geek heart just like skipped a beat. I'm like, yes, my favorite game.
Any sliver of hope. Yeah, I always bring it back to this because I feel like the old man of like back in my days in Monster Hunter. But like you would hear about a new Monster Hunter game and it would be like announced, came out. Then I'm sitting on pins and needles for it to come to the US. And then in the beginning of my Monster Hunter career, that didn't happen for like 3 games. And I was like, oh, what do I gotta do? I was literally talking to someone about pricing out to mod my PlayStation 2 to be able to play Japanese games. Like, and translate them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was in talks as a poor college kid, and it's like $400. I'm like, that's more than my PlayStation. Holy cow. Like, what am I going to do? And then I just randomly found Freedom Unite on a shelf on the PSP. And I was like, I will buy a PSP. Here we are. And I had one of the old clunky ones. It sounds like a jet engine going off. I think, like, PlayStation just has a problem. I think they like to model their fans after jet engines. Just...
Well, I would say the PS4 sounds like a jet engine. The PSP just sounds like a micro drill constantly.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope it doesn't scratch up your proprietary UMD disc. Little donut discs that were in a case. So we are going to be talking about game mechanics today that we would like to see that have been improved and that we like that have been modernized. You know, basically a juxtaposition between older gaming and newer gaming, and as far as like how game mechanics have grown, and potentially some mechanics we'd like to see have come back. And for me, the reason why I wanted to talk about this was not Monster Hunter Ace, even though you've been harassing me about the ledges the whole time. I do hate the ledges. It was actually me downloading the N64 library to my Switch and playing Banjo-Kazooie. And I was playing Banjo-Kazooie, and they have mapped the controls super weird. Like, remember the C stick? It is the right stick is the C stick in only certain occasions. During certain inputs. I was like, that's kind of intuitive to some aspects of the game, but like it all depends on whether you're crouching or not. Then when you're crouching, it becomes entirely the C stick. And then when you're not, it's the camera. So you can't move the camera and crouch.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, maybe that's how it was in the old game. But that made me think about it. How much better are cameras in modern day games? Like,
a lot better.
Way better.
Especially if they're controlled by your right thumbstick. Because I can't tell you how frustrating it is to just be fucked when fighting because the camera decides it wants to glitch out and have you only see half the screen or half the enemies or whatever the case is, or you just get to see the wall the entire time.
I feel like that is my secondhand impression of watching my husband play the old Resident Evil games. Like that over the shoulder weird angle, and then if you're in the wrong spot in the room, now it flips over to this other weird angle and you have no control over that.
Yeah, that was like the diorama approach. Like they just had like, you're just in this diorama and you're going to enter in one way and then leave to the next diorama. Like,
yeah,
that is weird because that is what that is. That is screen leaving. That is like old school computer before scrolling happened. Like, because you would go off one side of the screen and it would wipe and you would have a whole new screen. So like, that's essentially what Resident Evil was doing. So they were using a mechanic from like 80s. Because they fixed that in the early 90s on video games.
I feel like Dreamcast games did that a lot, though, because I remember Power Stone was like that. That was a fighting game on Dreamcast that had that weird camera angle. And Dino Crisis was like that.
Well, Dino Crisis was just Resident Evil with dinosaurs, but yeah,
Yeah.
same people too. That is a game series I'd like to see come back. Is Dino Crisis?
Well, keep up on uh, Limited Run. They bring back like old games all the time.
I mean, like Capcom making a new version of it, not buying the same version again because the tank controls suck.
Like they just rebooted the whole Resident Evil series, reboot Dino Crisis.
Mhm.
Give it to us.
Yeah, because dinosaurs are far more interesting than zombies, and they used to exist. Maybe not the way they have them depicted in these things, but
Well, then you'll have to follow up in what is it? Why am I blanking on their name? I know them. They're one of the more prolific people in the Monster Hunter community.
what are you talking?
Fucking name.
There's a lot of people who are very famous in the Monster Hunter community.
Yes, I know.
I don't want to start
I'm-
listing people because then people are going to get mad that I left them out. So I'm not going to do that.
Kogath. Kogath.
Yes.
Kogath recently went to the Capcom USA offices.
Oh,
So you
no.
could
I have a story to
them
tell
quickly.
you guys. I forgot about this. I didn't forget. So, did I tell you that Sunday night, when we had such reveal from Capcom, that happened at a half hour later? Because remember that countdown that we were all looking forward to?
Mhm.
It ended up being Street Fighter 6. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, fine, whatever. I wasn't that unhappy about it, but I was like, okay, I wasted my time watching this because I don't care about Street Fighter at all. I was actually up until 6 a.m. that night because my dog, being the lovable idiot she is, ate a fistful of chocolate, a whole bag of Hershey's chocolate. And I know it was Hershey's chocolate because I found where she had expelled the wrappers. So
Yeah.
I was literally up until 6 in the morning per the vet's advice to make sure she wouldn't die. So I had a wonderful night Sunday night staying up to keep my dog alive.
Yeah.
Super glad to see your dog was eating goldfish before we were recording, so that's good that everything is okay.
Yeah, she found some goldfish my daughter's dropped. She's sitting here.
That's the best part about having dogs is they clean up after the kids.
Unfortunately, they left out chocolate. Or I don't know if it was them. I honestly don't know where it came from or who did it. I don't like chocolate that much, so I don't have it around. I just didn't. So I came back from dropping off the kids, actually. And my parents were like, hey, your dog's acting weird. I'm like, really? Is she? Like, what's happening? Like, tell me what's happening. And then she just barfs like a freaking, like, her size full of chocolate onto my bed. And I'm like, okay, so she had chocolate. All right, let's call a vet now. Because I don't know what this is going on. Thankfully, it was milk chocolate and not dark chocolate, so less lethal, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. Our friend's dog Charlie, who comes over to visit often, one day before or early morning before coming over, apparently had gotten a whole ass stick of butter somehow, and a little bit after he arrived here, expelled that onto the carpet.
Oh,
Just
geez.
a big
Block
frothy
of butter.
No, like it was frothy and stuff. It was like just a big mess. Yeah.
I actually, so today I didn't get the girls till today, but I have this medal here for like they did a stock car thing for Cub Scouts. My daughter got second overall, but first in every other category for her stock car. So she was excited today. So they might be super hyped and come in here tonight. But they were very concerned because I didn't tell them about Blinky until today because I didn't want to worry them. But like, yeah, it was. They were like all over the dog, like, "Don't ever do that again, Blinky. I love you." Yep, kitties.
Kitty cam.
Kitty
Yay.
cam. Now, if only we could get the purring, that would.
Well, I mean, I can
That would sell it.
move the mic in.
I don't know. I can't hear anything.
Oh no, it's showing up on the mic.
It is. That's hilarious.
This will be it'll be a nice little ASMR break for anyone that's listening.
So yeah, so I forgot about that. Yeah. Anyways, so I thought about this topic because the camera controls are just so much better, and I couldn't even believe how they attempted to do camera controls in those earlier games like Banjo-Kazooie and Mario 64. I don't know if you remember, but when they did camera controls like that, it was like a fixed like angle movement. It was like rotate 45 degrees, rotate 45 degrees, rotate. Like, it wasn't like you would just tap the button and it would just wing, wing, and then it wouldn't even go all the way around. It would actually have a point where it wouldn't go any further. So if you wanted to get from the other side, you had to like go all the way around and move the camera the other direction in these games. And it's like, why did they do this? Like, I don't understand. And nowadays, it's like camera controls are just fine. Like, I've been playing, so I played a little bit of Elden Ring, and I played a lot more Sifu, and both have, like, fairly good camera controls. Now, I have a couple issues with the camera on Sifu. That's because you're doing, like, this high-impact martial arts, and then you'll get the camera, like, shoved between, like, some foliage and a wall because of the way you had to move, and you're like, oh, I gotta move the camera out of here so I can see that kind of stuff, and you're like, but at the same time, you're like, okay, I got to dodge, block. like you're trying to, you're doing a lot of things at once. So much it feels like I'm like just mashing buttons on the controller. I'm just like, I can't get it. Get out of the way. Get out. Stupid camera. I can't see. Kind of feels like that at times. But like, so like, what can you guys think of, like, stuff like that? Like, how far have we come mechanics wise to make gaming so much better? Also, the other side of that, what can we go back to? Stuff we lost.
I mean, in sort of a niche sense, obviously, for those of us who did actually get the system, going from PSP to PS Vita, the addition of another thumbstick made life so much easier because you didn't have to do the claw maneuver on the arrows to move your camera when playing Monster Hunter games or other games. But like the first PlayStation controller obviously didn't have the thumbsticks, and then
Not till
later
the
editions.
DualShock.
Yeah.
Which the DualShock,
So,
to be fair, came out during PS1's lifespan. That was before PS2. Of course, Xbox out the gate had a second thumbstick. But they had the advantage of coming out after that was a thing.
Yeah. And then I would say just in general, controller evolution moving towards a standard format of having your buttons and then thumbsticks in a ergonomic two-hand layout instead of like the tri layout where the thumbstick is in the middle and stuff, and you have to figure out
to move the
N64.
That was the most like weirdest design for a controller I have ever personally used. I'm sure that people have come up with weirder controllers, but being an Xbox person, Sasha, I'm sure that was not a problem for you not having a thumbstick.
No, it wasn't. For me, as an RPG player, and I've played them for a long time, one of the mechanics I love is pause, just like a pause screen versus menu screens, and very, very organized menu screens with tabs. So like the Pip-Boy and Fallout, and like here's your mini map, and then hit your trigger, and now here's your inventory, and then hit your trigger, here's your character screen. Hit your trigger, here's the radios. And then if you just need like an actual break, you need, because life is happening, pause it, go do something else.
Okay.
Versus games like older games, everything kind of was shoved into like one screen, and it didn't always stop your game. So you had to be very selective about when you're doing that. Yeah. I don't love that.
I will say saving has come a long way too, because it used to be that you'd be like, they're like, I got in trouble for this a lot as a kid. We would try to go somewhere, and like mom and dad were like, "We're leaving," and I'd be like, "But I gotta save. Like I can't find the save point. I gotta save." One time I let the I'm hearing weird sounds from the dog. Sorry. I let the game just sort of sit there with the TV off while we went out to dinner. And it worked, but I did not like doing that. That always felt weird. I would always be worried that if something would happen or would get reset or something, because I've always had cats, and cats are notorious for ruining your day, unfortunately, when it comes to a game.
Well, then you go, not specifically related to gameplay itself, but having like low power or standby modes be enabled for gaming consoles, where you can power the console essentially off and pick up right where you were without having to find that save point or
like sleep modes,
write down the codes, because codes were another fun way of managing where you were in the game.
I hate codes so much. I hate codes. So Sasha, what's another one for you? Like,
so like actually getting very specific into, because I have been replaying Mass Effect.
Okay.
Like cover systems have really improved quite a bit, and the Red Dead system of like you're about to die and your screen's all bloody and nasty, you need to find cover right now. That notably improved from Mass Effect 1 to Mass Effect 2.
Funny enough, Arceus has like the get behind cover, your screen's turning red. They do that.
That was one of my biggest issues with the original Mass Effect game, was that this was an essential component to play through the game, but it was so clunky, and your enemy shots were not clunky. Those were coming rapid fire, but your Shepard is just standing there like, maybe I'll get down. I have a neck injury right now. Give me a minute. Okay, now I'm down.
That sort of snap to problem. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the flip of it, like something that disappointed me about shifts from Mass Effect 1 to 2 and 3, and I think that this is also a problem that I see with Elder Scrolls, is that it's very watered down character development. Like the original games have so much customization options, as well as the option to really fuck your character up if you don't do it the right way, and invest in things early on. And as you get into Mass Effect 2, it's pretty much just a shooter with a little bit of flair here and there, and same thing with 3. And with Skyrim, the complete removal of governing attributes, disappointing.
Yeah, the that is something that we have sort of lost, is that sort of effort that it took to get good at a game sometimes, where things have been watered down. And in some ways, because this is a very nuanced problem currently in Monster Hunter, is in some ways it has been beneficial. It has brought in more people. But in other ways, you just lose some of the charm and some of the effort it took. and this is in multiple aspects too. This isn't just, how easy the game is. We're talking like in a lot of RPG cases, complexity of decisions, the complexity of dialogue options. And I will say Mass Effect in particular was very not ahead of its time, but sort of led the effort in branching paths in sort of modern games. But that was something that was more common in text-based games a long time ago, like Zork and Zelda, the
So
original Zelda.
so I've been playing Mass Effect as Renegade now, and my previous experience has always been Paragon.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the criticisms that I do have regarding choice in Mass Effect is that the real choice kind of doesn't really come down to Paragon and Renegade. It's more of those like story branches that are gonna like ripple into 2 and 3.
Yeah.
But the Paragon and Renegade choices really are just like you're gonna say something really shitty or you're gonna say something really supportive. But the end result is still the same for the quest most of the time.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. If you ever played, this also reminds me, if you ever played LA Noire, and LA
Yeah.
Noire was like, you got something wrong, and there was like, Detective Cole went 0 to just total butthead immediately. Like, he would be like, you'd be asking this little girl. I remember this one in particular, the little 8-year-old girl. You're trying to, talk to her about stuff, about like what happened to her mom. She doesn't know where she's at. You just scared little girl. Me being a person who likes detective shows and cop shows and that kind of stuff, like I've been watching Criminal Minds a lot lately, and that's been kind of my show. And they interview kids sometimes on that show, and they're always very like, "Hey, how you doing? Let's make you comfortable." Like very like positive affirmation stuff. And Detective Cole's like, "Now listen here, you little scrap of a like meat on the bottom of someone's shoe. What happened to your mother and why did you kill her?" And just, the little girl's like, "Ah!" like, and you're just like, "Whoa." Oh, Detective Cole, I like, and then but like you pick the right thing, and he sounds like a reasonable human being. He's just like, "Okay, calm down. I'm not here to accuse you of anything. Let's just figure out what happened." And then like you like detect the doubt or the lie or whatever, and you do it wrong, and then he's just immediately just opens up on her like, "You killed your mother." I'm like, "Oh no, whoa, Cole, I didn't do that. It's not." I feel like I have to distance myself from the character because I'm like, I would never do this. I feel sorry for berating this digital little girl. Like I just can't.
That just reminds me of the Game Grumps playthrough of Detroit Become Human,
Oh.
because there's the interrogation scene where you're interrogating one of the androids as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the androids have like a stress level, and if you exceed that stress level, they like self-destruct. So Dan made the joke of like the Connor android just burst into the room and was like, "Why'd you kill?" And then just self-destructs, just immediately going in balls to the walls.
Yeah, that's yeah. I yes, that very much sounds like where it's like the dialogue feels like so disjointed in those games sometimes, whereas like
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing. I guess I just don't like that a lot of games tried to do. Mass Effect wasn't as bad, I don't think, about the whole Paragon and what's it, Renegade system. I don't think it was as bad. But we had these morality systems that people were doing for a long time where they were like entirely useless unless you went all the way good or all the way bad, like uh Infamous or games like that, or like Prototype. Like stuff like that where it was like you couldn't even get out some of the abilities unless you were entirely bad and stuff like that.
So Fallout 3 and New Vegas have karma, and it's they have good, bad, and neutral karma.
Mhm.
And one of the things I liked about it is certain perks would open up based on your karma. And it's really hard to stay a certain karmic balance if you are, let's say, doing just the natural course of the game, like doing the quest. You're going to get good karma for doing certain things, regardless if you're murdering people and stealing every single thing you find. So if you picked things like a karma perk for bad karma, you're going to lose it. You wasted your skill point.
Okay. I'm not attracted to sort of like the bad karma or like the evil side of games a lot of the time. It doesn't sit well with me as a person a lot of the time. So I don't normally explore those options. But like, I think, I'm not sure, it's been a while, but I thought there was something like that in Kingdoms of Amalur. Wasn't there?
I feel like the answer is yes, because it's also been a long time for me. But I feel like I was more upset about all of my stolen loot being marked as stolen.
Yes. Yeah, that was the thing.
So then I didn't play Kingdoms of Amalur like how I play Elder Scrolls or Fallout.
You didn't steal everything. Yeah, it's very hard to
Correct.
steal stuff because they'll be like, oh, wait, those are stolen lockpicks that you have there? We're going to take all of them. But I bought some of those. No, they're all gone. They're all gone. We took them all. Why do you have lockpicks anyways? Like, hey, don't ask me those questions. I bought those legitimately. Yeah, I get where you're coming from on that. Yeah, Yeah, I still need to go back and play that too because that new expansion came out that I was so excited for, and I just didn't play it because I've been playing other things. So yeah, morality systems is a weird one because I feel like if done right, I think it'd be cool to see again, but I'm kind of glad that we're away from the bad ones too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I preferred to karma systems is actually having relationships with your party members in games. So,
Yeah.
like in Origins, your choices are going to have those bigger impacts on like the ending you get, on what happens in 2 and 3, but it also has an impact on whether or not your party member even chooses to stay.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, because there will be a point where they're like, I'm out.
Yep.
You're a terrible person and I hate you.
It might not even be because you're terrible. It might be because they have like radical viewpoints on the opposite end of yours.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like elves are slaves and they deserve to be slaves. And you're like, oh, whoa, I can't sit well with that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I remember one thing it was hard for me to grasp was just how, because like in most fantasy genre, dwarves are good. There's nothing like saying, yeah, they get a little greedy. Yeah, they get a little ahead of they delve a little too deep. That was like, sort of like the Lord of the Rings thing. A lot of D&D stuff has dwarves that depict dwarves very much like how Lord of the Rings does, where they're mostly good. And you'll have a few bad eggs, pretty much like any other sentient race. Then you get into a Dragon Age. And Dragon Age, dwarves are like mostly bad.
Dwarves, to me, in the Dragon Age series, are like very rich American capitalists. They are really anti-human. They are really anti-elf. They are all about the merchant class.
Sorry, Ace, I didn't hear that. What'd you say?
They're just a bunch of mini Jeffrey Bezoses.
With beards. Yeah.
Yeah. Bearded Bezos.
Oh,
Oh,
my
man.
gosh. That was something that was like when I was trying to replay through Origins, when it kept locking up and I couldn't play, that I was just like, I really want to be a dwarf, but like, I do not feel like I identify with a dwarf in this game. Like every other game, I'm like dwarf all the way. I'm gonna do it. And then like this game, I was like, I feel kind of scummy being a dwarf. Like I have to I had to trick everyone and poison someone before I even get started. Like, holy cow! Like, and I'm in a gladiator arena, just like straight up killing people to prove my point, just to be able to talk to the king. Like,
Mm-hmm.
ugh, this feels bad. And I'm not even allowed to talk to the king because my class doesn't allow me to because I'm a mere peasant in the dwarven society. Like, yeah, this felt very. It felt very wrong in comparison to like other dwarves who are like, for hearth and home and family, and it's just like, and this one they're like, gold. Anything else with that, dwarves? No, just gold.
Oh, and they're all magic is bad. Magic is very bad.
Yeah. Kill the magic user first, which is actually usually a good thing if they're against you. Kill the mage first. That's a good strategy to have.
Yes.
Um,
Now, Origins had an awesome tactics system for playing on the harder difficulties that I do not think carried over well to 2 and 3.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they entirely removed it in 2.
Mm-hmm. And then it makes a return in 3. Well, no, there are tactics in 2, but honestly, you don't need to do it.
Yeah, it's just, like, hey, prioritize this, and that's it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, but Origins had things right down to like, okay, when you're this specific party member's health reaches below 30%, that they'll use a health potion, and you can specify if you want it to be the most powerful health potion or the weakest health potion, and not to use the last potion that you have. Like all of these details, and honestly, it's essential to play it on Nightmare. I don't think I would have been able to play it without tactics.
Mm-hmm. It's fair. So Ace, what mechanics got you thinking?
I like how immersion has progressed in gaming.
Sure.
If you look at games like Last of Us, sort of going back to the idea of cover mechanics, if you play Last of Us, you'll notice that when you take cover, a lot of the times the characters will actually interact with the environment that they're in. They'll like place their hand on tables and like move around. Like especially with the first one, Joel will like move around Ellie and stuff like that. And then also like if you stand still for too long, in the first game, I haven't tested it in the second game, but in the first game, Ellie goes off on like a sort of like a berating tangent towards Joel of like, do you even know what you're doing? We're just standing here doing nothing, blah blah blah. So sort of things like that. What was another thing there's another thing I had, but I lost it.
Well, while you're
your character sings along to the radio in Saints Row 2 and 3, which was an achievement that I was raging about not unlocking for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and then it finally started singing the Breakfast Club song. I'm like, yes, and then after that, they wouldn't stop singing.
Oh, yeah, the "Don't You Forget About Me." Yeah, there you go.
In Far Cry 6, your character will sing along to songs that are playing on the radio.
I wouldn't see a character sing along to songs poorly. I feel like that would be the immersion I need in my life because that's what I do.
So I feel like that's where they missed the mark on Mass Effect because it's a joke about Shepard being a horrible dancer. And in the remastered, I discovered that when you go take Shepard to the club, it doesn't just say dance; it says dance ? Now.
Nice. I like that's a nice touch. Yeah, I didn't consider necessarily thinking like the way you've been answering things, Sasha, is within a series how things have progressed and lost. Whereas, which I like, I enjoy that perspective because I didn't think about that. I was thinking like games overall, like the camera system. So that's actually kind of interesting because we could make a whole episode of that about Monster Hunter, both gained and lost. But for me, one of the things that I both love and hate at the same time is it's specifically talking about Doom is story. Now, story is a bit different for Doom because it used to be literally here's an intermission screen after like level 9 and here's one after like level 15, and it's just like, 90s, like you're the big guy in town and you're going to kick all the aliens out of here. Whereas now they've sort of gotten more in depth, and and I've talked about this, where they made fun of like the modern way of storytelling with a lot of exposition and standing there during cutscenes in Doom 2016, which still happens in 2016. But like they don't do a lot of it. Where he just smashes the screen. He's like, "I'm not gonna listen to you. Get out of here. I'm doing my own thing." And then and then immediately backpedals on it on Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal had so many more people just talking. Now there's a little more, like at first it was a little jarring, but there's a little more, it's a little bit more like 2016 once you take a step back, because some of the exposition there is like one of like the big like hell wardens or whatever, like groveling for their life in front of you, which wouldn't have been a cutscene in 2016. I don't think you would have just taken their head off and been done with it. But it allows you to sort of like revel in him just like losing it, because he was like, you can't beat me, and then he just like cuts off his head immediately, and you're like, oh wait, I can see. Like there was a little bit of a better storytelling in that, but there was a lot more cutscenes that really took you out of the action in Eternal, whereas they literally made fun of that in the previous game. So like, I like how story has both become more important, but like at the same time they took it in a direction that was like, not only is it more important, but it's also like so important we're going to push the gameplay aside for a little bit. And I'm like, hold on, no, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that, because conversely, like a lot of people dog on the modern Diablos for their story. And one of the things I like about the modern Diablos is how they tell the story over what they're telling. Because in the old Diablo, it'd be like, I'm going to stand here for 4 minutes while this long scrolling text comes up in front of me and someone reads it to me while they're talking. Like, I don't know if you guys played a lot of Diablo 2 recently or back in the day, but like that was all the story. It was just shoved in these dialogues that everyone skips. And if you cared about, and everyone's like, oh, the story's so great. And I'm just like, uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
I feel like modern games now, what they do is, if they care about that kind of stuff, it's there. It's in a codex.
Yes.
Read it in your free time.
I like that very much. And in Diablo 3, the codex is just read to you while you're playing. You still get to hear it. If you still want to hear everything going on, you don't have to worry about it. And then you just sort of smash and bash monsters while Deckard Cain is relaying all the information on the Fallen to you. Like, it's just, I like how, I like how games have slowly been kind of getting a better grasp of what they are as a medium, where they're like, no, you can continue to play and we can still tell you the information you need while you're playing, kind of deal. Like that's some of the something more that I've enjoyed as things have been coming around. And there is times where, yes, let's sit down and watch something happen. I'm not a fan of 45-minute cutscenes like in Metal Gear Solid or something like that. But I mean, legitimately, the end Act 1 Diablo 3 ending is my favorite cutscene ever in a video game. Still, because it was just so epic. The fight between Tyrael and I keep wanting to say Inarius. Inarius is not him. What is his name? Imperius. There you go. The fight between Tyrael and Imperius, where they're sort of like, hey, we're angels. We don't interfere with humans. And then Tyrael is like, no, we do it because it's right and righteous, and like all like that big speech. I love it. I do a lot of quotes from that thing too. It's like when people does something, like when my brother did something that like I don't enjoy, we're both like sacrilege from like that cutscene that Imperius does to Tyrael. Of course, he doesn't do a cross; he just does his hands like sacrilege.
Kind of going back to your immersion thing, what are your thoughts on like survival modes, like where they special game modes to further not suspend your disbelief?
Uh, very good and very brutal when I choose to do them. Playing grounded mode in The Last of Us will have you pining for easy mode pretty quickly, because going from um, the hardest difficulty that was in the first game, that was available with the first game before they had any DLC, survivor mode, it gets even worse. So you go from getting like a fourth of an item to like an eighth of an item, and like you may not find another of that item for a while, or potentially for like until the next chapter, even sometimes. It gets brutal. So like you really have to play methodically and smart, and either choose to actually stick it out and fight in some places, or just run the fuck away.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure in playing in that game, towards the later section, there's a section where you're going through a flooded underground tunnel. And there's a section with two bloaters, which are the tank heavies. I'm pretty sure what ended up happening is that I just went and snuck around, took out the clicker that was walking around by the bus area that you needed to get up on, and then I made Ellie go up and drop down the pallet block. And I was like, I ain't gonna survive two bloaters with like only having like one revolver ammo, one rifle ammo, and a hodgepodge of other tools. So we're just gonna try and circumvent this.
That's what I like about the survival modes too, because it essentially forces you to change the way you're playing the game.
And then you also, unless if you pause on one of the menus, you also don't get a health meter in Grounded. So you have to physically read Joel's body to tell whether or not he's doing okay.
Isn't there something like that in Dead Space?
Yeah,
I think so.
The spine indicator.
And he starts like hobbling around and stuff too, doesn't he?
Yeah, but you don't get that in Last of Us. It's like because the health meters all just
and stuff.
Menu. Yeah, but it's essentially worse because you don't get that readout in any form.
No.
And then I mean, in Dead Space 2, you only get 3 save points throughout the entire 15 chapter game.
Yeah. I mean, conversely, that's always been one of the things that's been good about Monster Hunter is not knowing what you're doing to the monster, not seeing the health bar, that kind of stuff. I warmed up to damage numbers because originally you didn't even used to see how much damage you were doing, Sasha. You would just be like, oh, that was a good hit because the screen stopped a little when I hit him. It made it look like it was like a little, like stuff like that. Whereas now you can just straight up tell as an indicator on the bar whether a monster's ready to capture or not. When that used to be like a whole, oh, whoa, we probably hit him too much. Wait, see what he does. Is he limping? Okay, now we can capture him. Because you would have to do a capture quest, and if you killed it on a capture quest, you failed. The quest failed, do it again. Like, so nowadays...
But you captured its soul, not just its body.
Kick out a Ghostbusters like box, just oh man. So like indicators of like that are good in the newer games, but it was always a thing. It's just like I don't want too much of an indicator because then it breaks the immersion of the hunting aspect of the game, where it's just like you have to sort of know your enemy.
New Vegas has with perks I think it's if you pick science, you have to have very high science. You get an upgrade to your Pit Boy, where now you know the damage threshold for all of the enemies, how much health they have, to like let you pick the type of ammo you'd like to use on them.
Well, see, that makes sense because you've researched it and your character knows
Yes.
it. Right. Whereas it's just given to you in some games, and you're like, all right, fine. If it's an arcadey game, I have no problem with that. If it's a straight up like, let's say Star Fox, right? Like when you're just like in the air, just shooting and stuff and just blowing up, like that's fine. That's a very arcadey experience. I'm okay not knowing. One of my old work buddies who got me into Call of Duty actually got me into hardcore mode for a little bit because of how little information there was, like no HUD, like all of that kind of stuff. You actually had to like worry about how many clips were in your round, versus like other normal Call of Duty, everything's on your screen and you know anything about what's going on except for like, let's say, the other person's health bar, which wasn't a lot anyways. But like, I kind of like the lack of information and the focus of information has both progressed for individual games pretty well, I would say, depending on the situation. But yeah, like I guess in general, I prefer to see health bars because in general, I prefer a more arcadey game. Whereas, I don't know, like realism and I don't mix in games.
I also like to see the health bar, mostly because not all games are scaled to your level. There are, I feel like more games are fuck around and find out areas. And the health bar is a nice clue of like, I need to turn around. I should not be here right now.
Yes.
Yeah. Metroid Dread is getting that level.
Right.
Which, hats off to anyone who can achieve that. I will not be.
Yeah, no, there are difficult. So I've been playing Sifu, like I said, for Bickering Bucks. Our next game is Sifu, and you'll have health bars on Sifu, so it's actually very, very like purposeful, but it's very much styled after a Souls game as far as like difficulty and that kind of stuff. It's actually modeled after Sekiro in a lot of ways, and it's actually really cool and informational to be able to see, okay, how much of their posture bar, which is basically like stamina bar, I guess is another way to say it, you can break, and then their actual health. It allows you to make a lot of very informed decisions because this is a difficult enough game that you're like, what do I need to do to get this down as quick as possible, so I'm not fighting two things at once, because I will die if I fight, if I have another 10 seconds here fighting two things at once. Like, when games get that difficult, it's nice to have that much information so that you can make an informed decision on priority and all that kind of stuff that we need. I guess it's not exactly what you were saying, Sasha, but it just reminded me of like I enjoy the more information I can use, the better.
So, mini maps. Thoughts on that?
That's all over the place.
Like,
that is all over the place.
I think that what I appreciate the most for mini maps is mostly just like how many enemies are actually there. In addition to like these health bars that are telling you like, okay, there's a heavy that's just straight health, and then you've got this other guy who's got shields and barriers, and you need to do a specific type of damage to take that out before, but this person's not doing that much damage to you. It's the heavy that you need to focus that attention on. And then your mini map is telling you where everybody's located. That's the type of information that I appreciate, and Mass Effect 2 and 3 do a lot better job of this than Mass Effect 1 did. Very much so. Mass Effect 1 is just like a little blip, and there are dots on the screen, but they don't have any relative location to you.
That's
and I
rough.
don't like that. Yep. And I think it's Skyrim. Skyrim kind of gives you an idea, like because it's first person. You've got like the little blips on your screen of like little red dots. Here's the guy who's ahead of you. But if you turn, now there's different blips and they're in different positions. And then
Mm-hmm.
you turn again and there's different blips in different positions. So you don't get as much information playing in that style of game with that camera angle.
Mm-mm.
And
Okay.
I don't think they do a good job there.
No, it gets confusing. Like that's one of the problems that Skyrim has is like if you have enough quests you're on or enough things discovered, like your little bar, your like little like direction compass that's at the top of the screen can be filled with stuff and you're like, "Oh, okay.
Hmm.
What am I actually looking for?" Now they have a system where you can highlight it in the map and then it'll highlight on your compass, but and make it a little easier, but like I think sometimes the complexity of games really gets in the way. Modern games, I think, like just so many things, like what we have with Skyrim or that kind of thing, um, and we're seeing much more, uh, much more open world games, which in a way is good, but in another way, there's something to be said about some linear experiences that can be very narrow and fun because for what they're doing, especially if you're talking like an execution heavy game where you're like, again, I'll bring up Star Fox. Star Fox is almost entirely linear. There's branching paths, but it's you're flying forward and you're moving along the screen flying forward trying to dodge bullets and shoot stuff. Like whereas, you know, if they had like an open world Star Fox game, we'd be like, okay, I guess everything's a dogfight every time, which is fine, I guess, but
I think kind of going back to there's just so much in modern games that with an open world format, it can be overwhelming. I think
mm-hmm.
Red Dead Redemption and The Witcher 3 are good examples of you open up your mini map for your map for the first time and there's like here's your main quest, here's 5 different side quests, here's Gwent, here's a question mark because you might want to check this out, here's resources you should gather, and you're just like, where should I start? What do I do?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I will say another thing. Um, this isn't as related, but it is something in modern games. There's a lot more internet connectivity with certain games, and this actually came up. A friend of mine said this, and this doesn't bother me as much as it does bother him. But there are times where he just doesn't want to connect with people. He just wants to play a game and not have people bug him, or yeah, he's just like, I just want to kind of do my own thing and not worry about anything. So he doesn't like a lot of how notifications of people coming on just because you're friends. Like he wants to be able to segment that. Now there are systems to sort of say, hey, I don't want to be bothered right now, and a lot of things, but like even I think Steam was one of the first ones to do it like an offline mode, or maybe it was Blizzard Battle.net.
I had my 360 set to ghost mode for like 4 years and didn't realize that I was doing it.
Right. So
Why
like
doesn't anyone want to play with me anymore?
Well, no, I had done it because I didn't want to talk to people for a while, and then I kind of just like forgot about it. And I think my brother had said something to me like, "Why are you never on for somebody who's always playing Xbox?" What are you talking about, dude? I'm always on.
Mm-hmm.
right. Yeah, but for him, he wanted to play Elden Ring and really just not bother with the online functionality. Sort of treat it as a single player experience, which you can. And I have been forced to treat it as a single player experience because my PS5 is stuck in NAT Type 3, and if you people know anything about networking stuff, that means my connection is so unstable no one will play with me. So, and I don't know why. We're in the same house and my brother and I can't play together. And we bought this so that we could play together. So that's been an issue. But that kind of made me think about it, like just how much online integration is for so many games now. It used to be like, here's the online leaderboard. That's it. or like if it was specifically a multiplayer game. But now there's everything from like leaderboards to message systems to like, I mean, like I was recently playing Lost Ark, and obviously that's an MMO online, and like there's so many like things that are like constantly bombarding you, like a general chat and stuff, and in those games that I turned off because I did not want to see how much gold or silver would cost me to get an automatic level 50 or whatever. Like advertisement from other people in the games, people soliciting you
Mhm.
for like fights. That was one thing that annoyed me. I get like someone would come up and ask me for a duel in that game, and I'm like, no, I don't want to duel you. I don't want to duel anybody. Let me go chop down this tree and get resources. I don't care.
It's like being not in a guild in WoW and you're in a major city and they're like, hey, can you sign my guild charter? Are you looking for a guild?
Yes. Yeah. I was accosted by that sometimes. That's actually usually when I play an online game, I make a guild or whatever,
Mhm.
a clan. And yes, I did make a clan in Lost Ark to play with people here. I never played with anybody else because no one was playing. But I was fine because I wasn't getting any people soliciting me for guild invites either. They're like, oh, he's already in a clan. Good for you. Like, kind of thing. I was like, yeah, there's the benefit of not being bugged, I guess. Um, for me, there was something that, like, we've been talking a lot about like how things have improved, but one of the things that I talk about this a couple times, I really kind of miss sometimes there just being like a more arcadey version of games where things are taken less seriously and that kind of thing. Like for me, this came up the most in shooters, where I was playing something and it's like I don't want to feel like some, like it was Call of Duty and Battlefield specifically. Stuff like, oh, we're in a desert, so there's a sandstorm kicking up and you can't see anything. And I'm like, yeah, that's not fun. Like, I don't want to have to specifically equip thermal scopes for this one map, on the fly that I didn't, like, I didn't, can I just, like, shoot people and just not think about it? Like, that's what I'm here for. Not getting the full tactical gear and weighing every option and every strategy. And that's also something too, is like sometimes games are taken too seriously now. Like, you guys ever tried to play League of Legends? Like, no one doesn't take that game seriously sometimes. You cannot, like, I enjoyed playing the game, but there is not a casual level to that game. Even at the lowest of the low tiers, people will cuss you out for doing the wrong thing at any point. And it's just like, I'm not here for that. That is,
I feel like even less serious games, people are like that. I've talked about this before about why I don't play Gems of War anymore, which is just a like a match three puzzle game. And the guilds are so serious about you need to make sure that you're doing 1,500 seals every week and make sure that you're doing the towers and the arena battles. And I'm like, dude, I got a job. This is a free to play game. I'm not doing any of that.
Yeah.
right. Yeah, and that is, so I normally don't play a lot of games on my phone, but that Gems of War was one uh for a while, and actually there's a reason why I am popping up my phone right now. For reasons like that is why I have started playing stuff like Sudoku. You can't see it at all. There you go. That's an ad. Watch well, fourth one. There you go. It's hard to see. Sudoku. Stuff like that, where I'm just like, no one's going to bother me. I could do this on my own time. There isn't a Sudoku guild. I don't need to worry about it.
Mhm.
Could you imagine it? Sudoku guilds? Ugh.
How would that even function?
However many puzzles
Make sure
you're
you
solving
do
a
your.
day and how fast you're
Yeah.
doing them. Like, can I just not do this? Like, I kind of get where they want to do this sort of like clan stuff in these games, like Gems of War. And my favorite was called Hellfire: The Summoning, where it was literally like, I think I talked about this before. It's like literally skee ball, Like you actually like built up your gotcha team, and they were like damaged, and you would skee ball into targets that were like the bad guys, and try to kill them with like your elemental attacks and stuff. I loved that game, but I was in a guild for that, and they were like, "Hey, if you aren't hitting your daily targets, we got to kick you out." I was hitting my daily targets because I love that game and I played it constantly. But but that is a weird pressure that people want to put on you, or like, or you're out of here. It's just like, and then you can't do like the good content unless you're in a guild and stuff like that.
It is why I tolerated a lot of it for a long time in Gems of War. At one point I had that game completed. Even now, that's my highest game on True Achievements. I think it's a game that I have the most gamer score in. I think I have like over 2,500 gamer score in that game because I played so much of it. But it was guild content.
Yeah, all of it.
And now I'm like, I'll just log on once in a while and go in the underworld and none of this guild stuff anymore. It's too serious.
Yeah, I think that's a player mentality more so lately than mechanics. Although the mechanics of Gems of War drive that for sure. That's a lot of this free-to-play games do because they want you on more.
The alternative is pay for the stuff. It's free to play, but pay to win.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Clash of Clans. Kids bankrupting their parents by getting their credit cards and maxing out their villages.
I already saw that kind of coming in Lost Ark, where I don't know if I told you guys, but I already uninstalled and quit that game. I'm out. Like last week, I was like, "Yeah, I'm in," but like, I'm out. I didn't even hit max level. And then I saw the amount of like content that was like, "Hey, you got to have a couple people to do this," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not going to have that. I'm not going to have the couple people." So I think I'm out. Now they got it right for the leveling experience. You don't need anybody for that. But like that's my problem with MMOs is just the commitment that they ask for that kind of stuff. It's just like, "Hey, you have to have, people playing with you constantly." Conversely, because I have people that I know that wanted me to try it out and said they would play with me, I have been trying to get into Final Fantasy XIV, but all the servers are locked. Like, there's no way for me to make a character, so I haven't even started that. But they wanted me to get into Final Fantasy XIV, which is an MMO, but we'll see. Again. But I have a promise of at least 4 people to play with. Promise. Not that it's going to happen, but we'll see. So one thing that I wanted to talk about with this, and it's something that Nintendo is severely lacking in comparison, is something that I didn't expect I'd like until PlayStation did it, because I got a little bit into it on Xbox, was achievements. And I know, Sasha, you're a big fan of achievements, but like I think that was a modern, pseudo-modern. I don't think they're too modern anymore. But I think Nintendo needs to get behind it to sort of like, it doesn't have to be this sort of like, "Hey, I'm a gamer because I have X amount of hours and achievements and that kind of stuff." But it is nice to see your effort into a game. You know what I mean? Like, there is that sort of badge that you get for sort of beating your game. That used to be my thing, is like, how many games did I beat? In grade school, us as kids, that's what we would compare. We were just like, "Oh, did you beat this game? Yeah, I beat that game. Did you beat this game? Yeah, I beat that game." Or like, "No, I haven't beat that game yet."
Yeah, so I was a teenager when achievements came out, and I remember my dad being like, "Why do you care about this stuff?" And I'm like, "Because do you know how many people actually question if I've played this game before? Now here it is, and it's time-stamped, and there's no argument about it."
Yeah. In fact, I played more than you, sucker.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I don't know how in-depth Xbox is with it, but like the PlayStation trophies, they actually list off like what percentage of players playing
They
the
do.
game have
Yeah.
gotten
Xbox added that sometime in the last like 5 years, and then they also have it's got a little diamond next to it that they call rare achievements, and it's usually like 5% or less of people having
Yeah, they have. So you can look now on even Good Old Games does this, where you can look at achievements with them because they pull in Steam achievements. That's one thing I like is Good Old Games will pull in the Steam achievements as well as their own achievements, and they'll tell you like the rarity of an achievement. In fact, I'm going to pull this up on the stream purposely so people can see what I'm talking about. Listeners at least, or watchers. But yeah, you can actually see when you get the achievement and if it's rare or legendary or whatnot, what you got,
this?
and like the actual like 5.4% of people got the complete chapter 6 for Ziggurat 2 that I have. Like you can actually see the outright percentage of like how many people achieved it and stuff. Like I'm all for that. I love stats. I'm a nerd. Like I love seeing statistics like that. Um,
Hmm.
Nintendo needs to get on it. Nintendo's needed to get on it since the Wii. Like I don't know. You can see they're a little open to it. Even some Nintendo games have internal achievements, and Monster Hunter has always had achievements through the guild card. It's been a thing since before achievements was a thing. But the only game that really procs achievements is, well, I guess Steam achievements now and Rise. But Monster Hunter World was the only one that really had full achievement integration. And as much as achievement hunting is a thing, but it can also be a sickness, I do enjoy having achievements and getting them and that kind of stuff. If it's feasible, I will achievement hunt. If I feel like it's not a headache. Because there are some games, like if Pokemon Arceus had achievements, I'd 100%ed it by now, I believe. I've done everything in that game. Maybe not some ridiculous stuff like have 100 shiny Pokemon. Like I can't do that.
Or beat the game with a bug team.
I didn't do that this time. That would have been easy for me any other game. I did not do that this time. Yeah, I the only bug I had on my team was Cleavor, which I didn't know. So we recorded Bickering Bucks for this for Arceus. It just came out. There's actually new evolutions in Arceus, and me being unaware of Pokemon at times, I didn't know. So Stantler got a new evolution called Widear. Didn't know that Cleaver, which is a new evolution for Scyther, was new. I thought it was something else, but I think we went over that last week.
Yeah.
Sneasler is an alternate evolution of Sneasel instead of Weavile. So like there's all sorts of like just brand new Pokemon that was just in Arceus, and I was just like, oh, cool. Like I didn't know. But yeah, that'd have been cool to be like an achievement is get all the new Pokemon in this game or something like that. Like Nintendo, they just dropped the ball on this. I don't know why, but they dropped the ball on a lot of things that seem pointless. Like they do some things so well, and then they do other things that's just like why. Like the whole slow rollout of we had a whole episode about like what other games we want on the Switch Online because they could just do it. By the way, I don't know if you saw, they dropped Majora's Mask on that today or something. My daughters pointed it out to me. They're like, Dad, what's this game? And I'm like, Majora's Mask? When did that get there? And Amory was like, it just came up. It was spooky. It was a ghost. This happened because I was actually teaching the girls how to play Pokemon cards today. That was fun. I got a little battle kit or whatever. It had like some prefab decks in it. CC won both times. I'm not holding back on these girls. They're just killing me. They've already started beating me at the ages of 5 and 7, and I'm not. Oh man. So Yeah, like I could talk an hour about ledges in Monster Hunter, but you know, it's been our joke all week. Is Ace has wanted me to talk about the fact that I hate the movement in Monster Hunter, old Monster Hunter versus new Monster Hunter. But I've talked about that enough on this show in particular because every time it comes up, which I think is why he was saying that. But yeah, um,
Well, I mean, we could just talk about the larger like topic or theme that would bleed into is just like the the flow of movement in Monster Hunter has greatly improved.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know how they go back. I don't know how they go back from the wire bug. The freedom of movement that they introduced.
A bug virus that kills them all.
No, no, don't do it. Yeah, I don't know. Um, that would be tough. It would be interesting to see what the next thing is. Um, so what is something
Baby
that
Valstraxes.
do what?
Baby Valstraxes. Strap it to your back. Jetpack.
That's weird. Just jetpacks and Monster Hunter. Okay, cool. Um,
Speed running has never time attacking has never been so easy.
reminds me of Breath of the. Have you seen, Sasha? Have you seen the Breath of the Wild speedrun stuff where they like time freeze a
Oh my god.
tree? Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. So what they do is they have these mechanics in the game where you can like time freeze something, and if you hit it while it's time frozen, it builds up the momentum. So like once you like it has a limited amount of time in the time freeze, so you hit it a bunch of times and it makes it fly really super hard in a direction that you hit it, right? There's a speed run tactic where they go down, chop down a tree, and as it's falling, they stop it and they smack the crap out of the tree to get it to point a direction, and then they jump on the tree and this sails across the map. And they just sort of surf on this tree all the way to the end. And it's insane of like speedrun tactics
Oh,
of like
I'll do
that.
you one better. Andrea showed me a clip this week of someone who found a magnetic boulder and
Mm-hmm.
shot a Lionel in the face with an arrow and just started dish dish dish
Yes.
dink dish dish dish. Just
Yeah.
like a fucking cartoon. Just stunned the Lionel over and over and then used magnesis on the boulder and just bashed it over the head several times until it was dead.
Just, yeah,
Uh,
I think I saw that clip where they were just like they would stun it and then they would keep knocking it in the head with the rock.
hmm Yeah, and then you can also take a minecart, put another minecart on top of it, and then magnesis the minecart on the bottom to create like a flying car type thing. And it's really fucking stupid.
Oh boy. The things you can do in that game. But again, it'd be awesome if they had achievements like make a flying car, right? Like wouldn't that be cool?
Mhm.
Surf a flying tree or I don't know.
And then there's other players who have like done crazy ass shit. Like they'll shoot an ancient arrow off in the direction of a guardian, and then they'll drop a bomb by their feet, jump up in the air, whip out their shield, and then blast off on the shield because you can like surf on your shield down mountains and stuff.
Mhm.
So they'll just get blasted off and just be flying through the air and like watch the arrow go along and then just dink the guardian and kill it with one hit.
It's
Seen plenty
insane.
of those.
It's insane. It's like the next level of the immediate tomahawk throws in Call of Duty. I don't know if you ever saw those but clips of people start a match, throw, dead. Yes. um. So what are some things that you still like? You guys feel like we still need to improve upon in general, mechanics wise, could be in a series or games in general that like we're just still not there yet. For me, it's actually true branching dialogue with real decisions that matter in a lot more games. Like if they're going to advertise that and actually have it work, I'd like to see that a lot more in RPGs and not illusion of choice that we have a lot of times.
I feel like we talked about this when we did the silent protagonist episode, but I almost feel like in order for meaningful branching dialogue to happen, they're going to have to be silent protagonists. I don't think that the games can handle that much memory, like that much dialogue saved in, and then you said this, so now it's going this route, and because you've been an asshole this whole game, you're talking in this tone of voice, and you're making these facial expressions. Like I don't think games can handle that right now.
Okay. I mean, the Telltale games in Until Dawn were pretty good entries in that.
Yeah, but
if they expand it, I mean,
I feel like though Telltale is like the graphics aren't that great, so to be able to like have those branching dialogues, you're only having to redo like a 2-minute cutscene 3 or 4 different ways versus an RPG game that's a 5-minute conversation in the first hour of the game, and then now that has an effect on the next 5-minute conversation you have 5 hours into the game, and then that has an effect. Like how many different iterations of those conversations do they have to record?
Yeah, that's a lot of money
with voice actors.
I mean, that's fine. I'd be fine and definitely interested in getting a game that has that much space while exploring that many possibilities over, let's say, a poorly optimized game like Call of Duty that takes up hundreds of gigs for seemingly no reason.
So I think Fallout 3 and New Vegas I think New Vegas specifically does a nice job with this because they are silent protagonists. There are 4 different endings to New Vegas, and they're very, very different depending on like your main story choice route. And then even within your main story choice, like if you built specific friendships within the factions, you have a different ending as well. So you have like 6 or 7 different like conversations in the end game based on the choices that you made. But because your character is not saying anything, you're just picking dialogue and reading along, they're able to do that.
Right. Okay. Well, another one for me is this isn't mechanic. This is more a setting thing. I want more dinosaur games. Just in general, I want more good dinosaur games. Like Jurassic World Evolution 2 was great. Loved it.
Play Horizon Zero Dawn.
Maybe.
It's like robot dinosaurs.
I have it. I recently got it. However, I'm also going to be working on Elden Ring, Sifu, Hell Warders, Immortals Phoenix Rising, Deathloop, and Guardians of the Galaxy on my PlayStation alone. Still trying to figure.
Yeah.
Like I've got so many games.
In Horizon Zero Dawn, the one of the basically just bosses of that game is the Thunderjaw, and that's basically just like a giant T-Rex, but it can shoot out lasers and shit like that.
But a T-Rex doesn't need lasers to be cool. They're just cool.
Yeah, but dinosaur laser fight.
Okay. I mean, I'm not disagreeing, but it feels like...
And then in the Frozen Wilds expansion, they've got like a Yeti/bear robot. And it looks like in Forbidden West they have more pterodactyl-looking boards. And then they've got the Cobra Cobra Robot that everyone is guffawing over.
Yeah, I saw a clip of that. I mean, I'm not against playing it. I got it so that I got the first one so that I can do what you're doing is play through the first one and then play through the second one. But it's so far down my list of things to play. Like, I'm not sure how I'm going to do with Elden Ring. I just started it. Like, hot take here. I don't think it's the greatest thing that has ever been made right now.
Are you kidding? It's an instant 10 out of 10 across the board. No excuses.
Okay. I mean, on top of me having network problems and not being able to play with my brother in my own house, it's I feel like it's just more Dark Souls. And I've not really got into Dark Souls.
1.421, 0 points Steam. Ross O'Donovan tried to download it off of Steam, and apparently it would not work for him.
Well, I got it on PlayStation 5, so didn't really bother me.
I was saying 1 point you for your argument that you're always making of being anti-Steam.
It's true. I am anti-Steam. I did uninstall Lost Ark because I was like, I'm tired of Steam. I'm tired of this game. I'm just done. Unfortunately, there's some other stuff that is only through Steam that unfortunately I have to deal with. Like if I ever want to get back into Wolfson. Like we talked about last week. Like I actually reinstalled it since we talked last week to check it out again. I haven't yet, but yeah. That was the when you were gone last week, Sasha. We talked about games that we would try to want to get back into that we jumped out because it was just broken, like Cyberpunk. I mean, it was the whole inspiration for the episode because my friend Jacob played Cyberpunk, but oh no, you just reminded me of something else that happened this week, Ace. All of the Blizzard games are moving to Steam. All of them.
Oh yeah.
So if I want to play Diablo 4, it's going to be on Steam.
So wait, does that mean that like the digital copy that I got on PlayStation 5 is like invalid now, or?
No. Consoles, you're fine. It's still on the console. But all the PC versions are coming off of Battle.net. They're closing Battle.net and putting it on Steam. And this is happening in April. Like everything is moving to Steam. So.
All right then. Sounds to me like a bit of monopolization of choice.
Yeah, I said that on a tweet I made about it. I was like, I didn't get to choose this platform that I bought it on because I didn't want to play these things on Steam. And now I have to play them on Steam. If I want to play Diablo 3, it's on Steam. I don't know what to do. I guess not play Diablo 3 anymore. Except it's on, unless it's on my Switch.
You might have to kiss your beloved goodbye and then stare out the window like a wife waiting for her husband to return from war. Wait for your favorite game to return to other PC options.
Yeah. Like I don't. I guess it's because of the Microsoft buyout. Like this is the first real big change since that. So it makes sense for them to close down the Battle.net in favor of. Why wouldn't they put it like on Windows, right? Like it's just like a Windows game. Like isn't that what they did for Killer Instinct? Like
I don't know, man.
Isn't Killer Instinct just like a Windows game?
No idea, because I feel like now you just download an Xbox app on your PC and it has all of the Microsoft games that are available to you in that.
I would rather do that than Steam. I would. I mean, I already have a Windows 10 machine, so
I mean, there's probably a decent chance that maybe Diablo will be on there as well.
well, I mean, the email specifically says everything is moving to Steam, like specifically as of like April 1st or something like that. Like, which is a bad day to do a big change like that, but I think it's serious.
Is this a joke? Is this a joke?
Oh man, have you heard that was like an actual quote when they revealed Diablo Immortal? Is like, is this a bad April Fool's joke by one of the question panels that became like a big meme for a while?
You guys have phones, right?
Yeah, it was like, it was the you guys have phones, right? And number 2 was, is this a bad April Fool's joke in November? Oh man. You
No
know,
wrath like the wrath of a gamer.
it makes sense why we didn't have BlizzCon. I just figured that out, why we didn't have BlizzCon this year. Because it was bought. The deal was already in the works, and we just didn't hear about it yet.
Well, I mean, other than the fact that probably people would have been shitting on them and ripping on them the whole time for the
That never
scandals that are
stopped
going
them
on.
before. They did that full. They did a full on address in the beginning of BlizzCon for the Blitzchung event. The Blitzchung event. Like, they are not afraid to talk about their shirking of controversy at the front of BlizzCon. I think
I don't know.
I think it was the buyout that stopped them from doing BlizzCon. I'm just realizing that.
Well, then if that's the case, then they are more lacking in moral character than one would have thought.
I mean, are they? Is it really better than you thought it was going to be? You had a pretty low opinion of it already.
No, I just keep finding that they find it they find a way to lower the bar each time. Like Mean Girls, the limit does not exist.
We're thinking Dennis and Sunny. I can go lower.
Yeah.
Or Charlie does it. I can go lower, you know.
Is
Well, if we're
Charlie
gonna
the
go with-
one played by Charlie Day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if we're gonna go with it's always Sunny memes, but then we'll go with the one of like me crossing the road being like, oh, they couldn't possibly screw this up worse, and then what's his face in the car runs me over per the meme. You stupid bitch.
Okay. All right. I don't know. The meme that always gets me now that I've seen the show is the Community, the one where he comes back with the pizza and then everything's on fire and people are fighting each other. Like, like that one. That was a good one.
I like during the whole Wyverian egg saga. Just posting out the Sunny in Philadelphia. Can I offer you an egg in these trying times?
My brother and I send to each other every time somebody's complaining in like a staff meeting. We're just, can I offer you an egg?
Yeah, I need. That's one of those shows I probably should watch. I just haven't got around to it yet.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like my kind of humor for sure. People were saying about the Community for a long time, but I saw the Community D&D episode long before I saw the rest of the Community. And because if you haven't seen it, the Community D&D episode is hilarious. Holy cow! Like, they do some of these D&D tropes. I don't know, Sasha. We've talked about this a couple times. You played D&D, right?
Played it. I haven't played like
A ton
of it. I more have played Pathfinder.
Okay. I mean, my choice is Pathfinder 2 right now, so I get it. But But there were in the D&D episode, one of my favorite things is they have, I don't remember her name, but she was like the youngest, she was like the super young teenage girl that was like just out of high school, that was like the perfect A student that was there. Um, and she was like very prim and proper and that kind of stuff. And then like they get into the D&D episode, and like in order for the them to get whatever item they needed, like they had to like seduce this person. So like they tried to have like one of the guys do it, and he like failed miserably, but then she's like, no, let me show you. And then it's this like slow montage. They don't tell you what she's saying, but she's like doing hand motions, and people are like, oh, and they're like, oh, like all this like really sexual stuff that she's explaining, and like really in depth. And then like it was just like, holy cow, it was some serious sex role play. This thing is hilarious. And then like the DM and like everyone was like, you see one of the guys, he's like taking down notes, like, holy cow, like I should really try this. Oh, it was really good. Yeah, but like I think that's another show I need to watch. Although, like I said, I've been watching Criminal Minds. That's a long show. I didn't realize how long it was. It's like 13 or 12 seasons.
That show's long enough that I think I stopped watching it like 7 years ago, and it's.
Oh, just rewatch Supernatural.
I never watched it.
I was gonna actually. You would love Supernatural the way you like Diablo. My goodness.
Okay. So I have a history with Supernatural. Not a good one. So my ex got into it right as we were going through the divorce. So like there was this time where I don't know why she asked me to hang out a little longer at her apartment. We were already split up. She was like, just watch this show with me. And I was just like, I was already perturbed because like we're already done, divorced. She's out of the house. Nothing. Like, so I'm just like, why does she want to hang out? What's going on? Like, I don't understand. So she wants to show me Supernatural. And she shows me episode 2, which is the Wendigo. Season 1, episode 2. And I immediately, being the super nerd that I am, was like, that's not what a Wendigo would do. At all. No. Like, and then I was so mad about it. I wrote at the time, not now, but at the time, my most successful D&D article for my rage at that show, which was the Wendigo.
I think you should just start on season 3.
Okay.
With all the like angels and demons stuff starts happening.
Okay.
They really step away from the like each episode being a different monster that they're hunting, and it starts to become a more like thematic story.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll give it a shot, but
Diablo 3 and Supernatural are so closely related in my head, story-wise.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. I have never heard this perspective on it. Huh.
It's a massive like angels and demons fight for 6 seasons or more on Supernatural.
Huh. Mm-hmm. Interesting. I never heard that.
Yeah.
I only knew about the Wendigo episode because I was infuriated by how it strung up food. I'm like, it's a force of hunger that's always hungry. It wouldn't save food for later. It eats it all then and always. Like, that doesn't make sense.
It's fine. I mean, there are worse episodes than that one.
Sure.
Like the bug episode.
The bug episode? Okay.
Of Oz episode?
You gotta explain this
one. Which one?
The Wizard of Oz episode.
That one was just kind of weird. No. The bug episode sort of plays on like the pet cemetery thing of like the houses being built on Native American land.
Oh, okay. I could see why you say I wouldn't like that one. Yeah.
Well, it's just dumb. Like,
it is.
Bugs.
I mean, not just that. Typically, everything's built on Native American land, so.
Well, you're not wrong.
All of it is. all the time. Actually, I had a little. So like, I was at the Derby thing I showed off like today, and the kids' school is called Tecumseh Schools, right? And Tecumseh is someone I am indirectly descendant of. I'm actually descendant of his brother, so it is a thing in my family. He's the famous Shawnee chief, and that's what their public school's named after. And there's this thing about like, hey, here's Tecumseh and who he was on the wall. And I was just looking at it and I was like, it's so weird. It's so weird to be like, yeah, I like they're talking about like people I am directly related to on this thing.
Stuff like that all over Michigan. There are these like little green historical markers and describing like all of the like French people that colonized Michigan and the Native American tribes that were before them.
That's better than Ohio. Ohio doesn't do a lot of that. We just have deformed names of old things. Like I live near Chillicothe, which is a Englishized version of Chilliwagatha, which just means town in Algonquin. This is like, hey, here's town, right there.
While in Michigan, there is Algonquin, there is Tecumseh, there's all kinds of Native American city names. It's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. No, we're just.
You should see some people from. It's funny. One of our employees, he recently tried to pronounce a Wisconsin city, and he failed miserably. We've got so many like native city names, and it's always funny to hear people from out of state try to pronounce them. So the city is Oconomowoc, and he was like Oconomowoc.
Hakuna Matata? That's what I would have went for.
Yeah, and then there's like other towns like Wasaki. There's Waukesha, which some people call Waukesha.
Yeah.
It's real weird.
I mean, I didn't learn a ton of Algonquin from my tribe. I did learn a slur for white people, though, because that was used a lot.
I would say justifiably so.
It's just like, yeah. So there was that, but like, I don't know a whole lot of the language anymore. I think the only people that could fluently speak it was like some people older than me, like in my dad's generation of people and further up. But my dad can't even speak it all. Like that's why they call it a dead language. It's just not a lot of people know it. So,
well, it's part of the fucking issue is that, you know, we kick them off of their lands, out of their homes, and put them into religiously based schools in a lot of cases, and we essentially like force the culture out of the culture.
Yeah. I know. I was not there, but I know. So, do we have any other game mechanics that we've been thinking of? Because I'm out. Achievements was my last big one.
No, I think we covered just about everything on my list.
Okay. Good, Ace. Did you ever remember that one you forgot?
Not really.
Okay. All good.
I don't know. It might have just blended together with something, or maybe I'll remember it like
3
a week
days
down
later.
the road.
Yeah. You're like,
yeah.
Crap!
Or like directly after we stop recording.
Oh, yeah. That's happened before. I remember that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's happened to me before. So next week is going to be our game show. The 4th iteration of that. I will try to get another contestant, whether it's if we get Sammy back or Preacher or someone we'll have on. I'll find someone. Maybe I'll rope Jacob in. He'll actually join this time for that. Who knows? But I do have the years, and I will pull them up now, and you will see a bunch of white light on my face because Excel. So the years that we have for next time are 1992, 1997, 2001, 2011, and 2018. I think there's some repeat years in there that we've done before, but
that's okay. More than 5 games come out every year, so
yeah, it's true. And of course, I'll have the secret ones ready in case we have ties. But we didn't need that last time.
yeah. I don't think we have any repeat years. I'm like going back and looking at the other years.
Okay.
I think we're good.
The one I thought would have been a repeat was 2018, but I might be wrong.
We did 2019.
Okay.
Well, I think 2018 was one of the tiebreaker years on that one episode. I think,
it could have been.
where I got fucked because I forgot that I've played Fallout Shelter.
Oh boy.
Whoops.
Fallout
Merge 3 rooms together. Gee, I definitely haven't done that repetitively since I've played it on both my phone and on the Switch.
Okay. Alrighty, so we will catch you guys next week. Thanks for listening and joining and watching. This is Fortuan at HunterSubPod on Twitter. Be sure to join our Discord. And look out for the Bickering Bucks episode where we talk about Pokemon Arceus. And I drive Jacob nuts because I liked it a lot more than he did. It was really cool. So a little bit of spoilers for the episode. We had a in order scale because there's 4 of us now. Chauncey joined the show. So Chauncey, started with Jacob giving it a 7, then Brian an 8, then Chauncey a 9, and I gave it a 10. I gave Arceus a 10 out of 10. And again,
And that wasn't acceptable.
oh no, it was not. He was, I don't understand you. And I was like, look, a 10 out of 10 doesn't mean it's a perfect game. It means it is well exceeded my expectations and has done a lot of positive things for this game and for the series. And I very much believe that for Pokemon Arceus. Like I hands down will be 100% back into Pokemon as a fan if this is how they do the next games. Like,
I don't know. Like we were saying before the show, I'm kind of getting frustrated with like level 2 and 3 Pokemon dealing like half my almost level 20 Pokemon.
Yeah. They made it harder, but that's why I didn't have to stick to a bug team because it was hard enough.
Mm-hmm.
But I still like bugs. I still had a bug on my team. I still had a bug.
I'm just like, comparatively, you're tiny. How are you doing this much damage to my guy?
Oh, it gets rough. It gets rougher. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, I'm probably just gonna repeatedly go and grind and overlevel my Pokemon just to be on the safe side, and even then, I probably won't be safe.
It's fair. It's fair. So yeah, be sure to check us out. We got a lot of stuff coming away. And of course, join us next week with the quiz show. See if Sasha can reclaim her title. See if Ace can claim his first.
Yeah. I'm really looking to reclaim my title.
Shut up.
Sammy, he just knew some of those years. Like, he knew a lot of the ones that you guys had. He knew a lot of the ones he had.
I knew a lot of the ones he had. I had bad luck of the draw. I felt like I didn't play and even heard of half of the games that I got.
Oh, man.
But it's okay. We're going to start again fresh in March.
Yep, we are. We are. I've already got a couple of the games picked, too. 92 is going to be rough for everybody. Because, like, I'm looking through that list and I'm like, I don't even recognize some of these games. Like, like what the
Oh,
crap?
right.
So I had to pick. I was really digging in '92 to find some more notable ones.
Good to know. Thanks for the hint.
Yeah, there you go. I don't think it's going to help in any way me saying that. um, so at Ace Badger Gaming on Twitter, you can see him meme it up and talk about current events a lot of the time.
Talking crap on NFTs.
Yeah, that's still a thing. Yeah. I'm a little too afraid to dog Elden Ring on Twitter still. I feel like I'm gonna get dogpiled. I'm not really gonna dog it. It's not.
Just do it in an ironic tone of voice so people can't tell if you're being serious or not.
Gotcha. I did beat a dragon on it though. Killed a dragon. It was fun. Ish.
Funnish.
Ish. I mean, if you like death zerging, yeah. um and Sasha will be on the Discord and make sure to join us there. And people seem to enjoy following along in the Discord for the game show ones because I think the game show ones are really fun episodes. So I really hope you stick around for that. But that'll be up for us tonight. So catch you later in a week's time and see you soon.